Dr. Tariq. So allow me to share my screen. Okay. So have everybody could look into the screen clearly? Yes. Okay. Okay, so very good afternoon to everyone. So this is our last session. So I hope everybody still get similar energy as the first time Ibu asked me already opened the sessions. Yeah. Again, my research actually, as I explained before, this is still current or ongoing research. Actually, it is partially get a small grant from the institutions. Yeah, so it is focusing into the technology adoptions on the women entrepreneurships program, an empirical studies from a city in Banten province, Indonesia. So I would like to start with the background. So if you can see here, actually, we can see that from the Global Entrepreneurships Monitor 2015, it was founded that the numbers of the women entrepreneurs in Indonesia is, quite or considered in the big number, yeah, 22 million, and it's getting high. And from some previous study, it also can explain that it lead to the pros and cons in terms of the women role in entrepreneurship activity. There are some studies that showing that the women entrepreneurs give a very good impact to the increasing welfare of the household, but another studies showed indifference. However, it can be denied that the ICT adoptions play a very significant role in increasing the capability of the women in several countries. So yes, the ICT could increase the business performance of the women entrepreneurships. Even more in Indonesia, based into the latest studies by Laksamanawati in 2021, the facts showing the increasing numbers of the women entrepreneurs in Indonesia involving in this kind of area, even though some of them become the breadwinners. So they're really doing a lot in increasing the welfare of the household. So I think this is a very good phenomena that being interesting to share or to raise. Well, I really would like to hear as well, but probably those who focusing into the SME research or the women entrepreneurship research, whether or not in several countries the dominations of women entrepreneurs become increasing, yeah, particularly in the post-pandemic, like what happened in Indonesia. So the next fact that I would like to share here, that in terms of the gender ownerships, that female-owned in Indonesia, once again, this is taken from the latest research in 2020, that type of business product managed by the women entrepreneurs in Indonesia is in the food and beverage. And from this food and beverage, I mean, comparing with the men owned, that even the men entrepreneurs in Indonesia focusing in food and beverage is only 20%. So this research going to focus into these communities or this group of women, yeah, with huge or big numbers, but focusing in the sectors of food and beverage. So from this previous background, I would like to formulate the problem that actually there are a lot of research on the women entrepreneurs, including the ICT, but focusing into or involving in the business type of characteristic, we're talking about still focusing into the women entrepreneurs, as well as human resources and organization growth. So involving these three aspects is still considered lack of view. So we're trying in this research, we're trying to focus into these three aspects who could influence the ICT adoptions in the women entrepreneurs, particularly once again in the food and beverage sectors, as I explained before. And this study have two goals or the objective are to identifying those type of characters. This is going to be very interesting because women entrepreneurs involving in as the entrepreneurs in Indonesia have different motives or have different business orientations. Those could be the one who has, you know, a very strong motivation and business orientations, and the other one is the opposite. I mean, they just running the business to like killing the time, you know, or particularly in the pandemic, they just, you know, would like to share the network or other motives. So that's why it's quite interesting to identify them based into different characteristics. The second one is to explore. Well, we understand the type of the characteristic. Next, we're going to explore how is the strategy of women entrepreneurships, of course, to survive in running their business, but as well as trying to connect with their capacity in using or utilizing the ICT. As we know that in Indonesia, the transition, you know, in implementing the digitalization is just starting, particularly for women. So it's going to be a very good finding for getting or having the input for the government to develop, you know, the program or the mentoring program, which also could involve the university at the end. Then the method that used here going to be qualitatives. Actually, this is because of the reason that there are a lot of research that been conducted using the quantitatives. So in the previous study or previous research, they're trying to identify which factor, for example, influencing more in terms of the ICT adoption. But here we would like to explore further, but from the perspectives of the women entrepreneurships who still get a very short term of, you know, being entrepreneurs. So it will be easy for us to help them and also to assist them in terms of the mentoring program. So we would like to use the in-depth investigation or in-depth interview, as we know it bring, you know, a benefit or good exploration or insight while we conduct the in-depth interview or in-depth investigations. There will be 7 participants here, and those participants, if I may share here later, but after this, maybe. The research framework, again, based on the explanations before, I'm trying to raise those 3 aspects. Technological competencies, which of course this aspect will be based into the characteristic of women entrepreneurs. Then the second one is the human resources, which in this case, we would like to know the standard of the ICT skill that they owned. And the last is the organization's growth. So we're trying to actually grouping the type of the entrepreneurship programmed and the size of the company that they already run. Yeah, and we also would like to note the revenue that they already generated. So at the end from this, we would like to know into which extent those 3 aspects actually going to increase their capacity in ICT adoption. So there are some indicators as well that we would like to develop or to use by, you know, asking them or explore them in terms of intention to adopt, as well as the availability of the infrastructures, as well as the current level of the ICT engagement. This is what I informed you before. Those 3 respondents or participants, you know, dominating by the X generations. Just for your information, the X generation actually the 3rd dominated citizens composition in Indonesia currently based on the 2020 census. The first is Z generation, the 2nd millennial, and the 3rd is X generation. So here the interviewees actually are the X generations who run the business or who could be grouped into the SMEs type as the micro business because they only have asset below 50 million. In Indonesia, this level are very growing. With monthly revenue, it's quite, small. It's between 1 up to 8 million groups per month, and the length of business maximum 2 years. Because those actually being very interesting to analyze further related with the sustainability of their business. And the location we grouping or we focusing into one of the growing province in Indonesia is the Banten province. So there are research questions that actually we prepare. The research question actually in line with the goals that we're going to achieve. It's related with the explaining or describing on the characters of the women entrepreneurships itself. So whether or not, for example, they focusing into the necessity of the business owner style, or the other one is growth-oriented business owner style. So, well, of course, these two difference could be added with another style of the characters of the women entrepreneurs itself. It depends on the explorations later. The second research question that would like to focus is the related with the ICT utilization. So we would like to know when they do the adoption, what are the challenges that they face, yeah, and how familiar they are with the ICT. As we know, somehow the ex generations in Indonesia, particularly for women, are facing some challenge, yeah, in using or in implementing this ICT. And the third, we would like also to know, into which extent all the transactions utilize the ICT. It is quite important since we would like to know further that the ICT adoption, again, based on some previous study, give a significant impact to the business performance. So, of course, we would like to know further what channels that they use, whether website, email, or others, that involving their transactions activities or the turnover transactions. And of course, this we also would like to identify the barriers or challenge, yeah, that they face, yeah, during the adoptions. Mostly, they within the daily activity, normally most are using the WhatsApp. But of course, while we're doing digital marketings in the social media, then most of them facing some problems. So that's why we would like to identify further. And the last is the programmed. So what kind of programmed of entrepreneurships that they expect could be required by the government, because nowadays I think it's not just in Indonesia and in many countries that the government trying to help doing the recovery for the SMEs by delivering the mentoring program as well as the incentive. So we would like to know as well what ICT programmed or ICT education program that they expect. So it will be, the input, a very valuable insight for developing the strategy later for the research result. So actually, this is the still a brief finding that we got from the satisfaction rate of the ICT adoption that being conducted in the several events conducted in Banten province. Several events here actually show from the several events here shown that the satisfaction rate considered high. I think we can see here from the graph, it up to almost 90% of those participants saying that the ICT adoptions socialization is very, or giving a very valuable advantages. Yeah, so they are very happy with the content that delivered by the speakers. the quality of the speakers, the engagement, everything considered good. So it will be very good for them to again develop or to get another program of the ICT mentoring. So since this is still ongoing process, so I cannot give any conclusions of the finding, but however, we do believe that whatever finding going to be, it will provide us with a very good insight how we're trying to help or increasing the capacity and capabilities of women entrepreneurships by adopting the ICT, and hopefully it will bring a very significant impact as well to their business performance in terms of their business sustainability. So I think this is my last slide that I can share. Of course, any input or comment will make this research result going to be much better, I believe. So thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you very much, Dr. Nila. We have one question from Anis, but I think it was very early before your slide was there. She wants to know whether the findings will be different during the normal time versus during pandemic. And what do you think, means what you can assume or predict what type of difference it will be?
Yeah, I think this is also our hypothesis that we formulate, briefly, that not in the pandemic, there are many channels that could be used by the women. As we know, I mean, they got, regular meeting, with their relatives, we call it an arisan, for example, or another, we call it like a ritual meetings or regular meeting within, again, their relatives. But however, within the pandemic, so the transition or transformations of the behavior of, of people, as well as the channels of the marketing is really depend on the, digital platform. And what the women entrepreneurs in Indonesia, familiar with is still in the very basic level. I mean, normally they just, let's say, placing their small ad or small pictures in the in the WhatsApp, and then they share. So of course, we see that, or we predict that actually if we compare or if we estimated that the ICT adoption in the post-pandemic has to bring, a significant impact. But however, there must be a very big homework how to deliver, or to increase the ICT capabilities to them. Because the way that we transform the knowledge or the skill going to be online as well, since we cannot meet. So that's another challenge that we face. They are lack of the ICT skill, and we have to transform the skill through the online as well. So I think that's going to be, interesting finding. I think that's hopefully, yes.
Yeah, it's a very multifaceted, challenging word in the near future. There is another quick question. Maybe you can answer in a short. That do you plan to replicate the study in another places? In Indonesia?
Yeah, that's going to be very interesting, since there are more than 60,000 SMEs in Indonesia currently, and spread into 33 provinces. So of course, by having this model or this finding, of course, it can be shared to another province or another regions or district in Indonesia, how to implement the ICT adoptions through online, particularly. So again, the biggest challenge that we have to face, we have to deliver the ICT skills and adoption through the online. So I think that's again another challenge. But if we can see that from the case study that going to be happen in the Banten province going to run well, so hopefully it will be replicated or applied in another district or agencies. Yes.
Thank you very much,